What are you doing dancing over there?
Hey, you got my head bobbing, man. What's up? How are y'all, everybody? Wow. Hey, we got some people in here today. We might actually have more than we had last week.
Well,
Y'all let us down
doing
last week. Well, it was like me, Steve, and like three other people in here.
well. Hopefully, we got all the software glitches worked out this week.
Yeah, I'm not real confident that we did, but okay. I'm all about being optimistic.
Yeah, we'll call it that. Optimistic.
Yeah. All right, let me scroll through here, see if I can say hey to everybody, or if it's just going to get out of hand. It may just be out of hand. I can tell it already. There's a lot of people in here. So it looks like Chris is the winner of the first person to comment. Good day, Chris, from the land down under over there. Rob Fight, Brian Smith, Robbie Giglio. How are you, sir? See, Victor. Richard Manny from Goose Creek, South Carolina. Does that mean that the creek's got geese in it? Is that what that I'm guessing? Stephen Holcomb from Chanute, Kansas. I hope I said that right. And Mr. Brooms from up in Chattanooga. I'm actually going to one of these days, because I go through Chattanooga a lot, so it won't be long before I make it through there. Which I think I did. You, Larry, didn't you come to one of the events? I'm wanting to say you came to Peach Jam one year. But Doug up in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Brad Ham, Calavapor, Newport Beach, California. How are you? Tom Dumerick, Phoenix, Arizona, over there near Cody, who I was just speaking with Cody earlier, because leave it to me, I will find a way to break a bit. I have broke 2 of them so far. None of them were Cody's problem. No, Cody's fault. It was some minor miscalculations on my part. I should have went with 4 strips of adhesive tape instead of 2.
Yeah.
But anyway, I did go with 4 on the last couple of boards I did. Didn't have no problems. Roger Court, Scott Johnson, Tom Baker, Tom Dukerich. Maybe I got that right. Minnesota Customs up there around Steve. Up there around Sasquatch and Vikings, whichever you want to call him. Clayton Kumahony? Okay, I think I got that right. But anyway, all right, it's getting a little out of hand, and some of y'all got some very hard to say names. Oh, look, there's Eric over at Valley Forge. Says, hey, 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 welcome to Valley Forge. That's what he always says, right?
Yeah, that's his intro, right?
That's his catchphrase. It's kind of like welcome back to the shack. It's hey, hey, hey. I mean, you gotta have that recognizable thing. It's called branding. So let's see. Yeah, I just watched what was the video that he watched the other? Oh, welding, crap, acrylic with a laser. I was like, what? Yeah. I was like, what kind of witchery is this? Because you talk about my bamboo witchery. I was like, what kind of witchery is this? But yeah. Hello, Dale Dubs. Boy, it's done filled up in here pretty good. Yeah, we're at 87. So yeah. What's up, Rick? Over at Rick 2 Cents. He said, yo, yo, yo. Yeah, that's I think that's probably his catchphrase. He says that a lot too. So let's see what we got going on. Yeah, Rick over in Chicago, Chi-Town. Do. Yeah, Larry said he came down when you were here. That's right.
That's right. Yeah, you were. We were talking about Chattanooga because sometimes they go back that way. But
yep. Verl, like the pumpkin. I don't know if don't make me lie. That thing may already be on there. It may not. I don't know. Like, I'll have to look. Brandy's doing her renovations. We went to Lowe's today and got some more stuff for the front porch. So I'll have to look. I don't know if I've got that out there somewhere or not. But it was basically like a coloring sheet type pumpkin that I took and split it into pieces and assigned it cuts and so forth. So, yeah, math is not my strong suit there, Chris. You know that. All right, so I can't keep up with the comments. I've tried, but I think I've called out everybody. Oh, wait a minute, there's too old to do this. Good evening from New Hampshire. Nipa, I see Nipa over there. Don Owens, Mark Patterson. Mark, how are you going, sir? And Miss, I thought I saw Miss Sharon. Yep, Miss Sharon Simpson in there. Yeah, Miss Sharon, I think she's having a cracked lens situation.
Oh no.
Yep. Really dark engraving with scorching on a Rolly MK2, and it appears that the air assist is operational. So I told her my guess is going to be that the lens is needing some swapping out.
Mm-hmm.
All right, but anyway, yeah. Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the live tonight. And it is good to see that some of y'all made it back. We really like threw y'all a loop last week, and YouTube wasn't announcing some of the lives. Some of them didn't have an event on Facebook. It was just a train wreck. Our software has been giving us fits. They've changed some stuff, and I'm not happy with the way it works. I feel like a total noob trying to work it. I can't get it to do it like it's supposed to. So we're probably going to be changing softwares, but I've still got like a month left on this subscription, so I'm hoping I can maybe catch a sale because I priced it, and to get what me and Steve need to do the lives, it's going to run me about $800 for the year. So I'm hoping for a sale.
A lot of those. I've been noticing a lot of those have been upping their package prices. Year that I've heard other people unhappy with not even just the one we're using, but others, and wanting to switch. I don't know. You know, you're either going to get a all-in-one package like that, or you're going to have to do a bunch of hardware and back-end stuff. And it's.
Yeah, I like the flexibility that comes with the softwares. I mean, yeah, it's expensive, but it saves a lot of headache on the back end. So.
Yeah, well, especially with us going to multiple locations, you know, it makes it a lot easier. But
yeah, because between the two of us, it's what, eight different outlets. So, you know, we kind of got to have. Well, I think right now we're out broadcasting to 5. But now there's a couple that I've turned off because it just got to where it was complicated.
mm-hmm.
And I had like one person watching on those, so I just turned them off.
Yep. So
things may be changing here in the future.
So
all right. What else we got? Questions, comments, concerns, grumbles, complaints.
Well, we've got a question here we can jump on. Barb's asking, what are your thoughts about using a fume extractor for the laser instead of venting outside? Looking at the Fume Clear FC 1001A. Well, I get it, especially in Minnesota with the winter coming up. Don't necessarily want to be dumping that air outside and having to bring in the fresh air. I'm not familiar with the Fume Clear brand, but taking a look at it, that looks to be about the same size as most of the typical ones from like X-Tool and We Create and others. As a matter of fact, the filters look very similar. The problem with those is they work okay for a bit, and then they get plugged up, and then the airflow is reduced, and then it's screaming at you to change the filters or at least clean the top ones. So you tend to spend a lot on the filters. The pre-filters tend to take the bulk of it. They take like the heavier particulate material, and that is definitely what will slow down the airflow. But if you're using your machine like a solid day, you're not going to be getting even a month of use out of it before you got to swap all those filters. And depending on the cost of the filters, I'm not sure on this one what they sell for. I know some of the others, they run about $100 to $150 for the set, and like I say, they only last a few hours at best of what I've found, which is one of the reasons you haven't really seen them on my channel, is they just don't work very well. So really what you got to do is kind of step it up to a larger unit that's got more surface area, more more material, but then the filters are also more expensive. So that's been my experience with them. With these smaller size ones. I mean, I've got one over here, one of the X-Tool ones I could show you, but um, I do like using them. If I'm out here and it's a really cold day, I'll plug it in and it'll work for a few quick jobs. But if I got to run a lot, then I got to deal with the cold air. So that's kind of my take on it.
Yeah, that one looks a lot like the laser pecker one as well. It looks like it may be a little bigger.
Yeah, I think that one's bigger. The laser pecker one's about half the size of the X-Tool ones.
Yeah.
For the desktop size, X-Tool has their desktop version as well as their normal size. So
Yeah. Well, I use them like to kind of take the edge off of the smoke when I'm at events and stuff, outdoor events. But as far as realistically using one here at the house instead of venting, I couldn't do it. Like, because the filters just don't last as much as I run my machines. It would drastically increase my operating costs trying to keep filters bought. Not to mention, it would be almost a full time job trying to clean filters. So I would have to. It would take me having to go to like a commercial type setup, I think, to make it
yeah.
doable.
So Barb followed up that she's only using it to cut leather patches. That might be better because there's probably going to be less particulate. I don't know how it's going to handle the smell, but I do have a leather project coming up soon. Maybe I'll
That would be a good test for one of those.
maybe I'll now. Do you engrave as well or just cut? Because I'll try both and see if I can. You know, I'll tell you what. I'll have my wife see if she could smell it because she's got a better sense of smell than I do when it comes to these things. So I might run that and run it on the fume extractor and I'll see how it does. I think it'll probably do better than pushing wood through it. It'll probably have less particulate, but I'd be concerned with that kind of skin smell. That leather.
Yeah. Now, if it can get the scent of engraved leather out of the air, that would be pretty impressive.
Okay.
So yeah, that would be.
And it might work better for that. I mean, it's really the particulate that clogs these things up and prevents them from working as well. So on some of the others where they have that removable media filter on first, you can take it out, you can wash it out, kind of get it rejuvenated a bit. But that's been my problem with them is that they get plugged up with particulate and then they stop working.
Yeah.
In fact, let me see if I have one real quick. I can show you what I mean.
I've got the one I use just for testing the LP5 or whatever, and yeah.
See, this is what happens to them, and this one isn't even that bad. I think I washed this one, but they get plugged up, and especially right in the center where the air is coming in. But as far as taking them to craft shows, they will help cut down on the smell and the particulate. But, depending on what you're cutting, there could still be hazards. It's definitely better than just leaving it free. But I've never run mine like that indoors. I was at the Woodworking Expo last year and they said it'd be fine, but I still was just kind of like, you know what, I'm not comfortable doing this. So I didn't run the bigger laser with the fume extractor on it.
See, I've actually blew this out 2 or 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was getting clumped up, and this was just testing the laser pecker, and I was doing some wood, but mostly I was doing like anodized material and stuff. And I don't know if you can see it or not, but compared to that side, I mean, that's used slightly, and then that's unused. So it was doing a decent job at keeping the smoke out of the shop because I just had it set up on the table over here. But I could still detect a hint of burnt wood, even with it. So,
Yeah, a lot of these were actually made for soldering and smaller particulate than the larger amounts of smoke and particulate that you get with lasers. So that's where my concern comes in. I'd want one that's kind of purpose built for lasers.
yep. What's up, Rick? Again? Rick must be jumping in and out. He must be bouncing in and out.
So yeah, I've got a handful of them now. Clack showed the laser pecker one. I've used that a little bit, and then I've got one from X-Tool and such. I don't know. I'll try to put something together on that to give a case use of where it might be good and where you might not be as excited about it. But yeah,
Yeah.
there. If you're using it full time for a lot of work, you're not going to want to skimp on it, and then you're going to want to factor in those filters into the cost of your operation. So,
Yeah. Yeah, Lance, like I said, I think personally the anodized materials, the metals and stuff like that, I think those would be a lot more effective because, like Steve said, there's not as much junk going in there to stop those filters up. You start getting into plywood. I mean, you got all that vaporized glue. You've got the sap that was in the original wood that's getting vaporized. You've got a lot of particulate matter and vapors and stuff like that going into there that's gonna stick to every piece of that filter. Especially if you're doing something like pine or some kind of sappy wood. It's gonna it's gonna really start accumulating quick.
yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it's terrible. I mean, luckily I'm in a moderate enough during the winter. Now it does kind of suck here in the summer that I'm having to blow. That's why I have my main enclosure vents from outside and then blows outside. It just recycles the outside air through the enclosure. But with the other machines, I can't do that. Like the MK2 over here that I've been using today, it pulls air from the shop into it and blows it out back. So, it's kind of bad because like it's blowing all my air conditioned air outside. But that's that's the way it works right now.
Yeah.
Because I don't have enough tubing to be running input and outputs to especially with these because with the already made boxes they really don't have an input nowhere. I would have to like cut a hole in it to put an air inlet somewhere.
Yeah, Lance, I've run the air purifier on the F1, the original little one, and for things like anodized aluminum, it definitely helps. For slate coasters, if you're just kind of etching the surface, versus with the F1 Ultra or the LP5, when you can actually engrave and emboss it, that creates a lot of dust, and there again, that would get clogged up. But I think on the F1, it's definitely something that's when I actually do take to events. I like running it through that purifier. It just takes the edge off, helps keep a lot of that down. So that's one that I do like for that purpose.
Yeah, I'm still waiting on the enclosure for the Ultra. If that enclosure shows up, there's a possibility that filter and the Laser Packer 5 may get relocated to my portable setup for events. Because I do have that filter that come with that one. Because I have one more of those Comgrow filters that we've had for 2 years now, but that's the only other filter I have is the one that Laser Packer sent over. So,
yeah, I think my contact said mid this month. So hopefully in the next week or so, maybe we'll get some shipping information on that. We can give them a rundown, and that's got a lifting table in it. It's got a camera, so it'll be interesting to see how that kind of transforms that.
Yeah. Too old to do this. Well, when you get into doing things that you don't know the settings, I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm going to tell you like I tell the guys that sub for me that get jobs from time to time. If you're not sure you know how to do it, it's probably best not to do that job. Pass on that one, let somebody else do it. Especially when you're talking about items that you're not making. Because if you mess something up, especially if it's a collectible, one in a million, can't find another one, family heirloom, whatever the case, it's going to suck. I do not like Even with the experience I've got doing this stuff, I do not like messing with things that cost a whole bunch of money unless I am 100% absolutely certain I know the settings. And then I still get nervous because you can always have a mistake and forget something or forget to set something, or I mean, it's risky. So just keep in mind, making $5, risking 500 to make five. That's not always the best thing to do.
Yeah. Well, and your risk should probably go with the reward. So, if you're doing that on a higher priced item, I would charge more.
Yes.
So, but Klondike, yeah, thanks for the $5 support. We appreciate that. Never asked for it, but always appreciate when people want to show their support that way. So, um,
yeah, Robbie says he got the air purifier for the F1, but glad he didn't buy it for the CO2 machine. Yeah, like I said, a short-term, sporadic use, I could see where they would be effective and would be, like I said, me using them at events, because Laser Pecker actually sent me a box of like 2 of those filters. In the shop, other than just for testing, I'm not going to be using that. But if I go to an event, that's when those things come in handy. So yeah.
well, lucky you. I have the one filter that came with it. So,
Oh, well. I guess that's what's in that box. Hang on, let me make sure it ain't my enclosure.
I mean, I'm just.
No, it says filter cartridges.
Well, I'm not seeing the Clack Shack all over their Facebook ads. So,
See, I got this one. I got this one here. Yeah. You can't buy the filters for the thing no more. I just clean them out, put them back in there. Which this one has been transferred over to soldering only now. So
there was a place that I was looking at. I want to say maybe filterbuy.com or something. But I think they may be able to make some custom filters for some of these, at least like that cover filter. So, yeah, well,
well, my chair's trying to outrun me. But yeah, I've got a couple extra filters for that if you want to swing by and pick one up, Steve.
okay, I'll be right over.
Let's see what we got. What's Chris talking about? Chris talking about something being accurate. See, I hate it when I get the half the comment contest. Oh, he's talking about calipers. Yep.
Oh,
Not said he was late because he was using his laser.
I mean, a good set of calipers is worth it. But then again, and for most of us dealing with wood products, you only need it accurate to, so close.
I mean, I did get me a metal pair, but
Yep.
they're still Amazon special. But I mean, they're pretty decent.
Mm-hmm.
I used plastic ones for the longest, and I just decided I wanted some metal ones.
You're just too heavy-handed with it.
Well, the plastic ones just seemed a little flimsy. All right, Lance has got I guess this is a question. Says, have seen a bunch of folks say the F1 and the F1U are just a 1064 wavelength IR and not real fiber lasers. What is the difference between the two, as fiber is also a 1064 wavelength? I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't know what they mean by it's not a real.
Well,
It may not have a fiber optic cable as far as the way that it's built, but it is still a 1064 beam, which is what the other machines use. But it may not be. It may not. It may be just using emitter diode and mirrors as opposed to actually transmitting it through a fiber cable.
Uh, yeah, roughly. That's. I mean, the F1 just has basically an emitter diode. It's not being cycled through any sort of uh, fiber
Yeah.
element and such. So it is the same wavelength, but you're not going to get 20 watts of power out of a diode emitter, and you're not going to do the combining of diodes like they do in the blue diodes to get that power. So it's there's multiple sources of fiber lasers, different styles, and these are just on the very low end as well as the kind of the beginning of the fiber source. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's more about the mechanics of how it's built when people call it a fiber laser than it is the beam, because they make machines that use the fiber like transfer, I guess you could say, of the laser beam. They make them with in CO2, IR, and blue machines. So, well, no, that Q1 that I had, I think it was just a mirrored machine. I don't think it actually had a cable. Yeah, I don't think it actually had a fiber optic cable.
Yeah, there's a narrow band of wavelength that fibers can create, and it's usually the shorter wavelength that works on metals and such. So,
All right, says Don says question for Steve. X2 M1 Ultra be good for an event type laser, and maybe the X2 F1 along with it. So you have I guess he means F1 Ultra, not M1 Ultra.
well, no, they just came out with the M1 Ultra, and that's that that's multi module machine.
Is that the
Um,
Cricket?
it's not, but yes, it's like the Cricket. But I guess it depends on the event and what you're looking to do, because it does add a lot of aspects of you could do some custom leather cutting and paper cutting. You should do some vinyl cutting. If you got the heat press with it, you could do some on the fly customization of heat transfer vinyl type stuff. So not necessarily bad. It just kind of depends on the products you're looking for. I'm still trying to play around with it to get a feel for what it's good at, and because I multi-purpose machines are great when you want to dabble with a lot of things, but they tend to suffer if you want to really produce a lot of one type of process. So I'm trying to
Yeah.
get a handle for what this machine really can do, and how well it's going to work, and then I'll try to get some video out on its capabilities. But I can see that, but just keep in mind too that the M1, the highest they've got. I mean, they have a 20-watt module that's supposed to be available for it, but most people are getting the 10-watt with it. And you've got a bit of a limited cutting area there for some of the other crafts, but
Yeah.
it definitely could. And the nice thing is they both use that smaller desktop filter. So, if you got that with it, you could swap between them if you needed it. But if you've got the F1 to do all your engraving and metal work, then the other one can be dedicated to the other mediums.
Aldrich Custom Crafts. It is a little bit late because they had to do a bee inspection. Oh, yeah, I got one hive that's, I'm not liking the traffic I'm seeing at the door. I need to go in and check them. I'm hoping it's because they're just honey bound and they got so much honey in there that they can't make a lot of bees. Because usually if you see a whole bunch of bees in a hive, that means they got plenty of room because they're laying a lot of eggs. But as they put away honey, the places that they can hatch bees get smaller and smaller. I'm hoping that's the problem because I want them to have enough honey to make it through the winter, because I really wasn't planning on pulling anything from them. But we still got stuff blooming around here. So I may wind up doing one more pull of honey. But that'll be over on the other channel. So y'all have to check me out over there to catch those content.
JC's commenting on here in California or Canada, I guess. Never worry about venting outside. There's usually smoke in the air, and yeah, we get a lot of the Canadian wildfire smoke. It hasn't been as bad this year as last year. I mean, last year there were days that I'm seeing just across the street, I'm seeing the smoke in the air between our houses and such, and so I definitely can feel for you that way with all the wildfire smoke. So yeah, can't escape it outside. Well, why worry about venting it? But and there was also a really good point too about not getting too cheap on the filters, because just because you can't smell it doesn't mean that it's not there.
Yeah.
And so you want to be making sure that, I mean, even in general, and this is something I don't like seeing, was when people talk about some of the more hazardous things like vinyl and such, and they go, "Oh, just use a really good venting system." I'm like, there are people and animals outside. You're venting this out there. You're venting this poisonous gas, this corrosive gas. So, but even not to that level, you definitely want to be mindful of what you're dealing with. And I know a lot of people will actually run a filter before they vent it outside, just to be more mindful of their neighbors and such. So, it just, what it comes down to is really know what you're cutting, know what's in there, and if it's hazardous, maybe have second thoughts about cutting it.
Yeah.
And if it's really smoky or whatnot, do what you can to be kind to your neighbors, but also protect the health of, yourself. It's going to dissipate fairly quickly outside if you're just blowing out smoke and particulate. But if your neighbors are 6 feet away and they've got a window right by there, maybe look at rerouting that or something.
Oh, Daniel says Sculpt Fun has an F1 copy now. Won't know if anybody has got one yet. I haven't.
Yeah, I've heard of it. I think they just announced it. So I don't know that anyone outside of possibly some preview reviewers have it, but yeah, they're G9, a 10-watt diode and 2-watt infrared. Yeah, it seems like a lot of people are jumping on that game.
Brad's got a question, and I'm not sure I'm understanding the question or what the problem is, but it says not able to cut through material on CNC, set thickness and all using VCarve Pro. So I'm guessing you're not doing something right, because with a CNC that should not be. I mean, it shouldn't be an issue.
Yeah, I could see if let me see if I can.
Well, I just so happen to have a VCar file in the queue
open?
over here. Yeah, well, the one I've been working on.
Why don't you drive?
This one here. Yeah. All right. So the secret to making it cut is, once you create, now y'all disregard. Let me turn these tool marks off so you ain't gotta look at them. Disregard this line right here, because that's my framing line. And yes, I'm so spoiled from lasers. I have built myself a framing line into my CNC projects, especially for this job, because I'm trying to stay on a 1x8 with this project. But once you set your shape or whatever into VCarve, you're just going to click on it like this. And I'm going to create another tool line or tool path just to show you. Once you click it, over here, now I'm using Pro, by the way, VCarve Pro. This is version 12. But over here is your thickness of your material. If you did everything correctly, when you first open the project, this is going to be the thickness of the material that you're working with. All right. So once you go over here and you select the shape, you're going to go to Tool Path. To cut, you're going to always use the profile tool path. Right here is where you got to set your depth, your starting depth, unless you're doing something like a pocket with a cut in the bottom of it or something like that. Then you could actually start this lower. But for the most part, just for general purposes, you're going to leave this set to 0. And then your cut depth, in order to cut all the way through this material right here, I'm going to have to go at least 19.35 millimeters. If you've got, some kind of other material or back there or whatever, you may want to go less or may want to go more. But to cut all the way through, you just simply set this right here to the thickness of your material. And then when you cut it, it'll go all the way through. So let me go over here and show you. With these, I'll show you the tool path that I created. And this is the one I just got through cutting these. And you'll see here I've got it set to where its start depth is at 0, cut depth is down to 19.35. Now, you're going to have to make sure you got your passes and all that set, but it should pull that from the bit that you're using. But pretty much, that's it. To cut with a CNC, I do recommend, if you're not gluing down, add some tabs for holding your pieces together. I was running double-sided tape on this, and so I didn't use them. But once you get all that done, if you go in here, you can actually, once you set everything up, and we'll turn that frame off, you can preview here. And if you see daylight through there, as long as you've got all your measurements in, you should be cutting all the way through. And then, of course, here you can double-click the back, and it'll remove the scraps so that you can look at your little pieces and see what you're going to do. So as long as if your settings aren't correct, it won't cut all the way through. It'll just make a line. So, and then once you get it working, you can make a bunch of them right there. But that's the only thing. Just make sure when you do a profile tool path, and then set the depth on that profile to be the thickness of the material. I mean, I guess you could do it with 2 lines and a pocket, but that was a lot more complicated than just a profile.
So yeah, you want to make sure you get your thickness right when you're setting that up, and then also you want to make sure. So the way he was showing it is if you're zeroing off the top of the material, and then you want to make sure that that's accurate. So if your material, and this is where a caliper is really nice. You want to measure to make sure it's exactly, because a 3/4 inch material is rarely 3/4 inch unless you've milled it yourself. So you want to make sure you set that. Now, the other option is to set your zero off the base and then do a cut through that way. And then that way, if your material's a little bit thicker or shallower, it's still going to do the cut, but it'll stop at 0, which is your spoil board. It'll still cut all the way through. That first pass may just be a little bit deeper or a little shallower, depending on the thickness of your material. So,
yeah. I still like coming in from the top, though. It's just so much easier, especially when you're trying to make if you're doing a bowl or something like that. It's just, I have considered starting, from the bottom of the material and coming up, but I learned the other way, and I'm just used to it.
Yep.
And I cut all these Alabamas over here today and did not hit my spoil board not once because I was using that double-sided tape, and it gives you almost a millimeter of margin of error. But now in the early days I put some tracks on that spoil board in the early days.
yeah, Robbie, I get decent gas mileage in the van, but it's still a lot of hours. I forget exactly what it is, but it's close to 20 hours of driving to get down there. So it's hard to just run over there for a cup of sugar.
Yeah. Yes, it is. But yeah, I wouldn't mind. Like I said, my only fear with the going to the 0 thing would be that. Well, I mean, I guess you'd still have to measure your material because you got to tell it where to start at. Huh.
Yeah, it means you'll always cut through to the base, and that first cut might be a little bit deeper or shallower if you're off on your thickness. So, but it tends to be kinder to your spoil board.
Oh, I can see that. Like I said, luckily in the past several months I haven't had a problem. But in the early days, there was a couple of times that my spoil board took a licking.
It happens to everybody.
Yeah.
I know this comes up a lot. How often do you clean your laser?
When it's dirty.
They found a way to reduce the buildup.
Better ventilation.
Yeah, they're using a CO2 laser and they're cutting tons of acrylic for pulling CNC dust boots. Yeah, I mean ventilation helps. Good air assist helps to move that particulate and the vaporization. Acrylic, yeah, it's hard to get away from it. So on a good setup with the CO2 doing acrylic, I don't know that I'd worry as much about the mirrors and the lens if I'm using air assist and have a downdraft
Yeah, I
setup
was
for
say.
the extraction. But your honeycomb, that's where you're going to need to spend some time.
Yeah, yeah, because freaking acrylic leaves that like oil or grease or whatever everywhere.
Yeah, it leaves a bit of a sticky mess if you after a while it builds up. So I hopefully you're getting some value out of that work. And take into account the downtime to clean up.
Yeah.
Depending on your volume, wouldn't hurt to invest in a spare honeycomb because then you could swap it out. Spray the one down, let it soak for a bit while the other one's running.
I was fixing to say, depending on the size of the materials, like the size of the pieces, might could even go with a larger hold honeycomb, so you would have less collection on the honeycomb.
Well, that
Like instead of a quarter inch, to go like a 1 inch or something. But
I mean, at that point too, you could do a knife bed or a pin bed. But
yeah,
it's having that lack of surface area for it to collect on. And knife beds are easier to clean, but they don't hold small parts very well.
yeah.
So
Yeah, I use a knife a lot when I'm doing acrylic in the P2 because it is a lot cleaner. It's easier to clean up too. Like you said, you can just take some acetone and put it on a rag and take those blades and just literally just clean them right up. All right, so here we go right here. Lance Rainey has a question. Basswood versus Baltic birch plywood. I know where your vote's going to, Mr. I love Baltic birch.
Well, I also like basswood, but it depends on what you're doing. For structural items, if I'm building a candle luminary or some sort of, part that gets glued together, I like the Baltic birch plywood. It's got more structure to it. It's more stable. But if I'm doing engravings and ornaments and more decorative stuff, the basswood. Now I'm considering basswood like solid basswood, not basswood plywood. Yeah, it's a lot nicer. It tends to be clearer, it has less grain to it in most of the pieces. So I like it for that. But for more structural items, I like Baltic birch.
Check out that grain. Oh.
Mm-hmm.
I hand selected those. Yeah, it looks like Mississippi that way.
Is that your own stuff, or did you go buy that?
No, I didn't have enough of my own that thin and that consistent that was dry, that wasn't checked. So I just went ahead and had to break down and buy it. I didn't want to because it was, what was it, at 80? I want to say it's like $70 a board for an 8-foot board for Select.
Where were you buying it at?
Down at Lowe's.
Oh, wow, there's your problem.
Well, I mean, that's all I got around here.
You gotta find yourself a hardwood dealer.
I mean, the hardwood dealer, they sell mostly rough stuff, and everybody that I deal with sawmills around here has everything rough, and Clark was being lazy and wanted something I could just take and put on the CNC and then sand. So I didn't feel like sitting over here planing for the next 2 days.
Come on, Alabama is one of the most densely, like the percentage-wide, most densely forested states. You got to have better options down that.
Oh, I probably got some that would work up there at the sawmill, but it ain't dried. That's the problem. And I gotta have this. I gotta have this quick.
I've got everything from the guy down in the out in the country in the ravine that you lose cell service going to with the air dried rough sawn. It's basically the clack shack up here. To surfaced on 4 sides, square dried, ready to glue up stuff as far as options. So
I've got probably I got a whole bunch of oak that me and you cut that's in the kiln, and propped up against the front of the building. But the grain's kind of busy on it, and a lot of it is not. It's not exactly cut the way that I wanted it. I wanted it. I didn't really want to be, buying the show enough cream of the crop, but I wanted it to be almost quarter sawn, and so that's what I got. But it's not quite quarter sawn, but I mean it's close enough that I shouldn't have any problem with it twisted.
Close, yeah.
Now I've got a couple of pieces that work. Hang on, where they at?
Now, are you're not dishing those out? You're just leaving kind of like a plaque and engraving on them, right?
Yeah, I'm just making a little plaque. I'm just going to engrave them. From here, they're going to get engraved, and then once they get engraved, they're going to get sealed real good, sanded some more, and sealed real good. Yeah, these are just going to be like little plaques. Brandy's wanting to make like a little stand-up thing for them, kind of like a little plate stand or whatever. I was going to put, a hanger on them so they can hang on the wall, because these are actually going to be awards for a barbecue event. And these are going to be like first, second, and third place, different categories. So I was thinking, make it where they could hang it in their restaurant or in their man cave or whatever. But she's wanting to do the little stand-up things. So, but this is like, I'm sponsoring the barbecue thing, technically. But my sponsorship is through, basically they're not paying for these. The materials are nothing. Like,
I'm sure the people of Mississippi will appreciate it.
But it's one of our church organizations around here is doing the event, and they reached out to me and was like, "Hey, we'd like for you to do the awards." And I've been trying to figure. I was going to try to do it with some of my wood, but it just. I just ain't got time to be. I ain't got time to be up there milling right now, and I don't have the wood that I wanted for this job. So I was just like, you know what?
Yeah, something like that. You want to have some pretty decent consistency and quality to the wood, and if you don't have enough on hand, you got to go out and buy it. So.
Yeah. Now, if it was just one, oh yeah, I got that all day long out there in my stack. But I wanted all 12 of them to look similar. I didn't want no weird, Like, I had one that had a little bit of, like this one had this little knot that came out in it. So I just used this as my speed test, which I thought I knew what the settings were. So I just was like, okay, instead of wasting this with a speed test on it, I'm just gonna do Sweet Home Alabama, because it did have that little knot right there, and I was like, I ain't gonna use that one, but I will make a Sweet Home Alabama one that I can give somebody, because it still just it adds a little character to it there.
Very cool.
That, and I wanted to test my jig.
Yeah. Well, Dean is asking, what would you recommend for a first laser, a diode or a CO2?
And
I was asking you.
It depends. It depends. What are you wanting to do? It depends on what you're wanting to do with it. That's the big question.
Well, to answer the question, at least in my mind, it's going to be easier to start with a diode. There's fewer things that you got to worry about. Adjustment. You don't have mirror alignment. You don't have to worry about focal lens orientation and such. They have the emitter in the module, and it either works or it doesn't, short of an actual manufacturing defect, or the cover lens you got to take care of. There is still some maintenance with it. You got to tighten belts. You got to make sure it's square and such. But those are all things you also have to do on the CO2 laser. You also, if you're getting more of a hobbyist CO2 laser, you got to worry about, it's most likely going to be a liquid-filled glass tube that needs to be, so you're going to need some chilling of that and such. So they're more complex. But with that, you open up additional material that it can work with. So if you're getting into acrylics, definitely CO2 is the way to go. You can do some acrylics with a diode, generally your blacks, maybe a few other solid colors, but it's not going to be the quality or the nice crisp edge as you get with the CO2. The reason you might not want a CO2 would be if you're just doing high detailed engravings. That is where diodes really shine. outside of the ease of use. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of idea there. But yeah, it does kind of depend on what you're looking to do. You know, if you're looking for larger size items, there are some larger diodes, including a massive one in that Tyvok S1 that's launching. But yeah, the 30 by 20-ish inch range is what you're going to be somewhat limited to in most of the diodes, unless you get into like the the 800 by 800 millimeter. So that's going to be more like
Yeah.
32 by
I
32.
think it's 850 by 800, I think is what the
Yeah.
big atom stack is.
So there are some bigger ones there, but CO2s have a much broader range of size there. But I would most likely recommend a diode unless you fall into one of those categories where you have a special need.
Yeah, like I said, if you're going to be cutting a lot of acrylic, then definitely CO2 kind of needs to be where you stay. But, yeah, I like my diodes. I like CO2s, but I use the diodes more than I do CO2, and I have both. Michael, yes, I still have the sawmill, and I do mill occasionally. But like I said, with this job, I had to have 12 pieces that were very similar because I didn't want one being any better or worse cut of material than the other. And it was going to cause me the time that it would have took me to take the rough cut stuff that I've got and get it down to where I could have 12 consistent boards. One, I would have generated a whole lot of scrap because the last log that me and Steve milled didn't have the best grain figure about it, so you're going to have to get some knots out of there every now and then. But the time also, you got to look at how much time I'm going to lose, as opposed to if I just go buy this board already ready to go, ready to sit on the CNC, which is better, spend a full day trying to get lumber ready, or just buy it ready to sit on the CNC and then design the file, line up the boards, and send it. So that was kind of where I was at. The time it would have took me to prep these other boards, it basically would have cost me that much money, what I paid for them, in wasted time screwing with the other boards that I was having to deal with. But like I said, if it was a one-off, like I got some, or if it was something I needed like a really wide piece for, like this right here. Like, see, this is a piece of scrap off of the one that I used the other day. I mean, that's some wide oak right there. You can't buy that. Like, they don't have 13-inch wide oak at the local hardware store. So,
Well, if they do, it's a glued up panel. And the amount of grunting you made, and then you carry back that small board. I'm sorry, man.
dude, you got to see this knee. This knee, bend it over with this knee that I jacked up like 6 weeks ago. I'm going to the doctor tomorrow.
Yeah, you grunting. I'm expecting you to come back with a real board, you know. Something with a little.
No, it's not the size of the board. It was bending over to dig it out from under the table.
All right.
You got to understand, I got back problems and I got a busted knee over here, guy.
You're just falling apart, man. Good thing you're just over. Wait, no, yeah, you're just over 12 months. 12 months and 3 weeks, huh? You gonna start the week countdown instead of the month countdown now?
Well, I'm working.
days.
I've got a project I was thinking about making, and I was going to put it like right over here somewhere where you could see it,
Yeah.
and just have it count down the days.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not quite to 365 yet. I'm still over 365, but
Now you're counting calendar days and not working days, right?
yep.
So Chuck's asking, what do you spray your honeycomb with to clean it? And I use one of a couple things. Simple Green cleaner. It's an all-around cleaner that's not really that hazardous, but it also acts as a good degreaser. It'll break down most of the things that you're putting on there. That or LA Awesome. Now that's when I'm not in a rush. I'll just spray it down, let it soak for 10-15 minutes, spray it off. It gets 90% of the stuff off with that. That's if you do it regularly. If you let it go for a while and your honeycomb that used to be maybe a nice shiny steel is now black and you can't see it, It might take a little more pressure and as well as possibly some oven cleaner or something to get at it. So, but I usually try to keep on it. LA Awesome and Simple Green are inexpensive and they're pretty safe to use. So those are the two I use.
Yeah. And you could get, like I said, you could use an oven cleaner also. But I like using pressure washer. It's just a lot more fun to use power tools to clean your stuff with.
All right, Philip, you're talking about one of these with
Good night. What is that?
this little aviation cable on there. This is the
Is that a
rotary-
lathe? Is that a low speed lathe?
This is the rotary for my CO2. Haven't used it in a while. But, yeah,
Don't drop it on your toe.
So there's a port inside the case that the aviation plug screws into, but then I also have to go to the side of the laser and I have to swap the Y plug on that Y axis. So it's a little bit of a pain on mine. I wish it had the kind of the just switch over, plug it in and switch to that driver, but no, mine didn't. So I'd have to do both. But
Yeah. R. Ballard's asking what stream softwares do we use? Been using StreamYard, but they're increasing their prices. Yeah, that we're using Restream right now. We were looking at swapping over to StreamYard and may still yet if we can't get this working like we want it to. But yeah, they have drastically increased the price because I looked at it like yesterday or today, and it's like 800 and some change for a year, which is a lot.
But they still have features that Restream doesn't have.
They do. I give you that. Yeah.
So and the headaches we've been having with it, I wouldn't necessarily recommend Restream to anyone right now, unless you're just solo streaming, to like one channel. We seem to be having issues with the dual streams and getting all the notifications, getting all the chats working properly and such. So that's been some of the headache we've been seeing for this. So yeah, I don't know, hoping for some Black Friday Christmas deals, I guess.
Yeah, maybe we will.
Yeah, we'll figure that out here shortly.
Yeah, Lance says I'm right on MDF leaves a lot of goo on the laser bed and crumb tray. See, saw my material video. Been cutting a bunch of MDF on the 20 watt Vision. Yeah, it's the glue. I mean, because it's basically sawdust. Somebody swept up the floor in the workshop, throwed some glue in it, and made MDF. So it's not like 90% glue and 10% wood. So I mean, it's going to leave a lot more vapors.
Yeah, I cut a lot of it when I first got my CO2, but it just I was getting it back when Menards actually had 4x8 sheets of actual MDF. Now the stuff they offer in that size is the hardboard stuff that's junk. And my local Home Depot, same thing. You can't get real MDF from them unless I think they may have some in like the small sizes, but then you're paying gold for it. So it's great for a solid, consistent material. And like a lot of people with laser, making like the miniature war game type scenery and buildings and such, they love it because it's very smooth, it paints easily and such. But yeah, if you can't find a good source of it that doesn't have that excess resin in it, it tends to be a mess. And talk about smoking your neighbors out, or you're gonna know if you don't have a good exhaust system because it'll smell. It's up there with leather for me with the smell that some of it puts out. So
yeah.
Yeah, Ryan, the Tyvox Spider, S1, massive laser, and then they have like a small CNC module for it as well, which I think the end mill the on that is just going to be for very light work. And I don't know. I mean, if you need a 4x8 laser, I want to know the business you're in. Because
I mean,
I'd probably
I
be
could
looking
probably find a project to use it in, but
right, but I'd be looking at a probably a nice CO2 at that point. But it's interesting. I'm sure
yeah.
they're gonna have a niche for it. There's people who it's definitely far cheaper than the same
Is it
size.
a 4x8 or a 4x4? I thought it
Well,
was a
they
4x4.
no, I've seen them say both 4x8 and 4x6. So I don't know. Maybe it's
Golly.
I think it is 4x8. Looking at the pictures, it's more proportional that way. But like a lot of these places, they don't proofread all even their marketing materials all that well. But I would love to. I'd love to see one. I'd love to play with one. I don't want one in my shop. I don't have room for it. I wouldn't even have the room to really test it. I'd have to
They're
set it up
saying
on my
2,000
tabletop.
by 12. What did it say? 2,000 by 1,200. So whatever that is. That's what they got on their YouTube video. I know 1,200 is about 4 foot because that's my
No,
my.
it's 78 inches. Yeah, it's a big machine.
Yes, it is, sir. Yes, it is. And the spindle's kind of weird looking.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Yeah, it's not quite. What in the world was that? It's got a garage door that you pull across the top of it.
yeah. Well, it's
It
gotta go
does.
somewhere. Yeah, I mean, they gotta have that protection on there.
It's got like a garage door on it. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, if I don't know where I would put something like that, but I mean, it'd be cool to play with, like you said. It's got like a security door on the top of it. That's pretty cool. Got a roll up, like a barrel door on one end.
Chris, I bought that rotary like 8-9 years ago, and I probably got it on eBay. So I don't know if I can find that exact one. And there's actually better ones that I've seen that I would recommend over this one, and I'd have to find them. But there are some that actually kind of have a combination of a chuck and some rollers, and they grab onto things a little bit better. So this one's pretty much basic generic. It's probably I wouldn't be surprised if Ohmtech and Monport sell a very similar one to this one. So,
Like something like that.
well, I mean that's smaller.
I don't know. Something got ain't too small. If it had the frame on it. Yours has got that little metal frame with the pin on the other end.
This thing's huge. All right.
It's got that frame. I don't know why you'd want that frame with that tailstock on the end of it. But this one's for the fibers. But I haven't used it with the newest fiber yet. I have confirmed it does connect though, because it's got that same, like you're talking about, the aviation cable. But the head on this son of a gun right here, it's huge. The chuck size is anyway. It's a little over. It's like 3¼ inches around. It's a big old block of steel.
Sam's asking if either of us have used materials from Laser by the Creek, and I can't say that I have.
Can't say I ever heard of them.
Let's see what they have. Lasered by the Creek, it looks like. Looks like they have microply, 1/8", 16th-inch microply walnut.
Wow.
They have a $30 sample pack. MDF core plywood, microply. They've got some acrylic graphic sheets. No, I haven't, but it'd be interesting to try them out. So might have to check them out.
Norbert, I can, like I said, I'm going to wind up getting whatever we decide to go with. But No, I got it covered. I run a successful enough business out here making things that I can handle it. I don't like doing GoFundMe's. If I can't figure out how to make money with these machines and stuff, then I got problems. So I'm good.
Trying to get caught up on comments here, so I'm sorry if I've missed anyone from someone. If you had a question, just go ahead and drop it back in.
Nancy said we need to review one and give it away. She's talking about that big machine.
I'd be afraid of how it's probably there's.
Does it come in a crate?
Well, it's either really expensive shipping or there's going to be some assembly required, and then reshipping it. That gets to be a bit of a hassle. So yeah, I don't know. It would have to be a local giveaway.
Well, I got a company that reached out to me that me and you both have dealt with a lot that's wanting me to try out a little, what'd they call it? Let me look at that email. Hang on. It's a 10 watt, fully enclosed. I think it said it's 10 watt. Hang on, make sure.
Yeah, I think I know the one you're talking about. It's a 10 watt, but they have options for smaller ones.
Yeah, a little 10 watt, kind of like the IQ was. Did you get that one? Did you get that one too?
Yeah. And the thing that frustrates me with some of these, a lot of them, is they're claiming class 1 lasers. But if any light can escape, it's no longer a class 1 laser.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, in normal operation and such. So if they have anything where the shroud is attached to the gantry and it can move up and there's a gap, well, now you've just lost your class 1 setting. And so, it's fine if you want to use that, provide glasses, but then don't advertise it as a class 1 if it's not truly one.
Yeah, well, this one's only got 100 by 100 work area, so it's like, But I was thinking to myself, I was like, well, if they send me 4 of them, so that I could give them away, it might be worth it. But because that would be one you're talking about being able to ship it and stuff. That would be one that'd be easy to throw it back in a box and ship it to somebody.
Right.
But yeah, I'm jury's still out on that yet.
Yeah, maybe that's something we need to push on more places on some of these lower end lasers and such, is say, hey, well, if you want me to get some word out on there, give me an extra 1 or 2 to give away on that.
Yeah.
Because,
yeah, because a lot of times it's the smallest, most inexpensive machines are the ones that end up being the most headache to make a video with.
It can be.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Sounds like Nancy's getting a Monport 90 watt 28 by 20 bed. Excited and apprehensive at the same time.
Woohoo!
Well, hey, that'll be a nice machine. I mean, that's about the same size as my old CO2, but definitely more power. Just watch a few videos on the setup. You do want to make sure that you get the water going through there, make sure all the air bubbles are out, whatnot, and then do your testing on it. But it's not. They take a little more work. And the first time you go to align the mirrors, you're probably going to get really frustrated. But small movements,
small increments, very small increments.
When they say, move the thumb screw or the set screw, 1/16 of an inch. Yeah, don't give it a half turn. You're way off. So.
Yep. Michael Key says the Atom Stack R2 is a nice rotary, and I would agree. That's my go-to for most of my machines. Now, of course, with the S1, I have to use the RA2 Pro, which works. And I don't have any problems with it, but
yeah, I really wish X-Tool would come out with a new one, because
I wish they would come out with like a RA2 Pro Max, make it bigger.
Well, and just the big thing that they don't have. Oops, I'm dropping stuff. Is the ability to rotate the head. Yeah. And so if you're trying to adjust the tumbler, you got to adjust the whole thing, and now you got to make sure it's supported. So And yeah, the size. It would be nice if it was a little bit bigger. So I would love to see them coming out with the. Ooh, almost dropped that now. I should probably set things down. Yeah, what they like to come out with the ultra version of things. So an RA2 Pro Ultra.
Scott said he'd pick it up if you give it away. I don't know which one of us he's talking to, but there's a big difference in travel between the two of us.
So Ryan's saying that his mom port has been great, but customer support is another story. And unfortunately, I think that's the norm with a lot of these places. Unless you pay, I shouldn't even say that. I have friends who have paid a lot more for lasers, and they've still gotten some pretty poor support from companies. And so, that's a bit how I got into the YouTube bit. Is a bunch of people ask me questions. How does a laser work? How do you level this? How do you do that? And so I started putting videos out about it, and I do what I can. I know what I know, and I don't know what I don't know, but I try to share that information with people and help them out. Because I know how frustrating it can be to try to find the right information, and that's a bit why we've been doing this live stream on Sunday nights. With we don't have a script, we don't have a. We're gonna run down this. I mean,
are you sure we don't?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we don't.
This is my script.
But yeah, if it occasionally we'll try to bring we might show off something or talk about something, but it's more about just answering questions from people, and a lot of it is trying to figure that out. So good luck with the new laser, and we will be here to help as much as we can, as well as there are other YouTubers out there like Ryan and others that have probably have a closer experience with your more exact machine, but always happy to help when we can.
Yeah. Dark Forest, I've actually been engraving 40-ounce tumblers for the past few months with my RA2, and I haven't had to have an adapter, so I'm not sure what that's about. I guess it would depend on whether the handles are removable or not. Maybe that's what it is, but yeah. Come
on, where's your little...
My what?
Your sound effects.
Well, I'll sure you don't have a script. It shows. Wow. Well, I don't know if y'all know it or not, but I've started a new collection too. Steve knows.
I do.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's the dried glue off my new little brushes I bought. It's just really cool. And wait a minute, there's probably another one. I just used them the other day. No, didn't use it enough to make one the other day.
This sounds like a product right up your corner.
Bamboo plywood. No, I did cut one of my bamboo cutting boards the other day with the CNC or the laser just to see if I could with 70 watt. But now I like bamboo for some things, and for some products it's okay. But if I'm getting plywood, I either want plywood or I just want regular wood. One of the two. So I don't really... There may come a day that I buy sheets of bamboo plywood, but right now I don't really have a product that I need it for. So,
yep, you and your witchcraft with your bamboo.
Hey, don't be hating. Let's see, somebody's asking me something else.
Yeah, Dark Forest. I've seen a number of adapters and 3D printed jigs and such for the RA2 Pro, which help. But I think they were one of the earlier diode ones to come out with a chuck rotary, and they seem to upgrade most everything else. I would just be surprised that they haven't jumped in and made it RA2 Pro Ultra or RA3 or anything. Yeah. I know we can make it work, but
yeah, I haven't heard about that. I don't know. Have you heard about Rich? Something about a CO2 laser with Rich?
been been a bit busy the past few weeks. I've gotten behind on some of my other YouTube videos and such. So no, I haven't heard what he's got going on.
Oh, you gonna look at this witchcrafter, Steve? Yeah, that's right. Brown engrave on bamboo, Steve. Like I said, everybody says you can't do it.
There you go. Brad was able to zero off the bed and put all the way through the material. So glad we could help you out a little bit. And yeah, I plan on doing a bit more. I've got the Saint Smart 4040 Pro back there sitting on the Onefinity. Got some projects that'll be trying to show the steps, at least with VCarve Pro, on actually setting up the file, and then we'll run it. So stay tuned. Try to give a little bit more advice on a few different things, from pocketing to cutting and things like that. So glad it's working a little bit better for you.
Yeah. Let's see. I could have swore I saw. Oh, Michael said he's trying to convince Renee Woodmiser would be a good investment. They are. It depends on what you're doing with it, but yeah, I mean, I made a pretty good bit of money off mine, and I still could if I was up there running it. But in light of my recent back injury, if I were going to get heavy back into the sawmilling, I would probably go ahead and invest for one with some hydraulics. But it's okay. And right now, I mean, I was doing pretty good, and then I had the little spill the other day and jacked everything back up. But hopefully my back and this knee will get straightened out. I got an appointment tomorrow to look at my knee because it's been about a month and a half and it still ain't right. So I'm afraid I tore something in it, but we'll see.
Well, and the other thing, the sawmill's one thing, but you gotta feed it. So you got to be able to retrieve the logs, and like Clark was saying, you got to be able to move them around. So, and I mean, a lot of, depending on the area you're in, there might be a bigger supply of them. But if they're like residential trees, you're going to be stocked up on blades.
Yeah, we experienced that, didn't we? We had some experience with that while you were down here, didn't we? Mm-hmm. We went through like 4 blades.
This might be that other question for you that you're looking for.
Can you sell the Corgi bottle opener? I'm not sure about what Corgi bottle opener you're talking about. I don't know that I have a Corgi bottle opener.
Something you had in a video recently?
I mean, I have a Christmas ornament, I think, that has is that a Corgi? I don't even know what a Corgi looks like. Hang on. I'm pretty sure it's not me. I think somebody else. Yeah, that's got to be somebody else. It's not me. I have a Christmas ornament that has like some dogs on it that I just recently did. But I don't know about a bottle opener. I don't know nothing about that. That's got to be somebody else. Corgi. Was it Andy? Did Andy do something with a Corgi? Does he have a Corgi or somebody? I don't know, but it wasn't me.
I know.
See, I've got a German Shepherd, like Christmas ornament. I got a weenie dog Christmas ornament. Now I'm not sure what this is. I think this is like a Scotty or some kind of terrier or something. Somebody requested this. I don't even know what kind of dog it is.
Like a terrier.
Yeah. Then I have a bear. That little guy again. I have deer in a field. A Chihuahua.
I think Two Moose Design maybe had a Corgi or something like that, but
a
some
cat?
people are saying it's Valley Forge, Eric. So
Okay, maybe it was Eric. I saw somebody the other day that had a bottle. Yeah, I think Eric did do some bottle openers the other day. It was yeah, okay, yeah. All right, so you may want to check out Valley Forged. I think that maybe he is, because this somebody's video that I saw had one, but it wasn't me, because I don't even know what a Corgi looks like. I had to Google it to see what a Corgi looks like, but yeah, that would be Eric, I think. So go check. You can go check out his channel. It's at Valley Forged. He was in here earlier. He might can tell you whether it was his or not.
cool.
Wow. Well, ain't you sweet there, Brian?
I don't know. Maybe you should talk about me.
Maybe he is. Maybe he is. Nancy says she's gonna struggle to learn for the $2,600 she paid. Yeah, that's a good motivator. When you spend that kind of money, it will motivate you.
Yeah, I remember. So I got my first CO2 almost. Well, it was this month, but like 9 years ago. And yeah, I was real nervous that first time I hit that go button. So, but I think I just ran some paper at a really low power. But you'll warm up to it really fast.
They're gonna send you some pictures, Philippines, about that rotary.
All right, sounds good.
Brian, I don't know. I hadn't heard. Like I said, I've been kind of AFK on catching up. I have been watching Steve's videos, but mostly just to make sure that, like, Clack on a stick isn't making any appearances or anything like that.
I think Clack on the Stick has gone into hiding.
Yeah. Hey, I have noticed I hadn't seen him in a while.
Where did he? Oh, hey, hold on.
Oh, I shouldn't have said nothing.
Catch it here.
Whatever.
Hey.
Oh my goodness. Oh me.
So we missed this one. Anna Hepner, which version of Lightburn does it take to run the X-Tool P2? Just the G-code version will work for that. You don't need the Ruida copy. So you get the same one you use for the diodes will work with the X-Tool P2. Now they keep adding features. Lightburn, the latest release candidate came out, and they keep adding some features to try to support other lasers. I haven't seen any of the latest, so I'm not sure what all works in there or not at this point. To be honest, for a lot of the stuff with the X-Tool P2, S1, and the F1 series, I actually use XCS most of the time for that. So they've been developing that software pretty well, and it works okay. And if I have Lightburn files, I just export them as SVGs, and then import them to XCS that way.
You still got your cricket?
Oh, is it back? Because I didn't hear it earlier today.
Yeah, it's back. It's back.
So, well, hey, Dave, good to see you here. And he's been playing around with this Nemo Lab CNC. That,
yeah, they have an interest. Yeah, they have an interesting product. You remember they had reached out to me like a year ago with a machine that was similar to the 6050, but they never sent it. So, yeah, they have a very familiar looking design. So I'd like to try it out.
Well, but I'm liking what I'm seeing in their controller and the offline controller as well. So I
hadn't got to see that yet.
Yeah, you should go check out Dave's channel for some of that stuff. That's for a benchtop CNC. I'm really curious about that one. I think it looks like a nice machine without jumping into some of the bigger ones we've got.
Yeah.
So Deanna, changing it to SVG, yeah, that's just the export. So if you're in Lightburn, now it's only going to work with a vector file, but you can just do a file export, and then it should come up with the option for an SVG. And
you gonna fire that up?
And then, yeah, here, hold on.
I was supposed to say if you can't, I can throw it up there. But I did the last demo, so I'm trying to catch up on comments.
All right, so if we have, I'm just going to draw some nonsensical stuff here. So we have a few vectored shapes here, and if we wanted to, we could just go ahead and combine them all because this would make more sense. There we go. So say we wanted to export this shape, come up here to File and Export, and pick where you're going to drop it. I have my whole laser files. Usually I have a, I got my Xtool P2 directory. So random shapes. So we'll save it as that. And now hopefully I can bring up Creative Space as well. And if you, once you're in here, of course, I'm working with the F1 right now, but we can switch over to the P2 to get our working area. But you come up to this little image icon, and you go to that folder you saved it at, and now it's brought in that shape. So that's going to work for vector items. So if you're working with just a raster, you're just going to want to import that directly. But you can export your vector files from Lightburn in that method. Just make sure you change it to an SVG. It'll also do, I think, AI and DXF. So SVG works best for most softwares like Creative Space. And that's kind of your quick tutorial on that.
Woohoo!
Whoa.
Nice. Oh, hopefully that gave you a quick rundown on it. Yeah. And in a few months, I'm going to come across this file called Random Shapes, and I'm going to wonder what it is.
You're gonna be like, what is that? Where did that come from? John, the wood that I got the other day, if you're talking about the wood I used in that video, I got it from Rugby Architectural Building Materials. This is the name of the company. It's a local company, but let me see, where's it at? There's the name of the business right there. They have a lot of different little locations around the southeast, especially. I think they have some places up other areas too. But it was the pre-finish was $24 a sheet, $22.40 a sheet, and the non-finish was $18.74 for a 4x8 foot sheet, which is really, really cheap. And so far, I haven't found a whole lot of pockets and voids and stuff like that in it. It's been pretty consistent. It is a little harder to cut than the Luan I was using, but that's got to do with the fact that, one, it's a harder wood. It's not like a poplar veneer. It's a birch wood. And also that finish that's already on it adds a little extra layer of resistance. So, but it's pretty good material though for the price.
Yeah, so if you have a local hardwood dealer or maybe a cabinet supply store that sells plywood, you could probably ask them. They might not stock it in the thinner materials that you might want, but they might be able to order it in on their next shipment of stuff. So,
woo! Well, see, it's actually shiny on that side, but it's not on this side. So if you have to apply glue actually works better on this side. But now if you're painting it or wanting it to be shiny, that's the side you want exposed. And it's also, like, you could engrave it, spray it with rubbing alcohol, and just wipe it. It's pretty nice for that.
Mm-hmm. I actually used some of that, but in the 3/4 inch variety for some of my original shop cabinets in here. But it was two-sided finish, so everywhere that I had a glue joint, I had to
sand it.
Yeah, I just sand it down. So I was like, I'm not sure this saved me a lot of effort there. So having just the single-sided finish would have been nice because I could have had the outside good, but all the inside joints.
Yeah. Well, he said they sell it in double-sided too, and I'm like, typically I don't need but just one side shiny because it's going to be glued or that's going to be the back. So
my local Menards actually has two-sided pre-finished plywood. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how thin it gets. I think at least down to a 1/4 inch, but I don't know.
Yeah. Kevin Rich, welcome, sir. Glad you made it. Thanks for stopping by. A lot of folks buying the Mira 9s. I don't know. Never got to play with one of those. But I see a lot of people getting them. They either have a really good sales campaign or a really good item. I'm not sure which.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen one in person, so can't say. But they definitely seem to have a nice product from the videos I've seen on the show floors. Anyway.
Yeah. Yep. Apparently, Greg, the clack mask is pretty common up in Minnesota. This time of year.
I've seen it in, well, not even dozens of places, but pops up every now and then.
Let's see. Oh, well, thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you there, Mr. Dwayne. Dwayne said he got his X2 F1 this past weekend and using the jigs. Working good so far. Yeah, I like them. They make my life easier. That's why I made jigs for the Monport also. What up, Cody? How are you, sir? Yeah, I told everybody I broke another one of the indestructible bits. Leave it to me. I'll find a way to break them.
You know, you're not supposed to use them as hammers, okay? Not every.
Hey,
not every.
man, I
tool.
wish I had my ISO 2s on. I was in here, you know. I don't forget whose video I was watching, but I was watching somebody's video. I had it playing on the ISO tunes. I was over here on the table sanding. CNC was over there running, and it was just you, and all of a sudden it said, "Here, oh." And then it got quiet. Like the bit noise just got quiet, and I'm like, "Oh, that's not good." And I go over and look, and it's still, you know, it's still going around, but it ain't making no noise. And I'm like, "Oh, that ain't good." And it goes around, and I look, and there's about that much of that 1/8 bit sticking up out of that piece of wood. I was like, "Uh-oh." But yeah, the material popped loose from the bed. I didn't have enough tape on it. I should have put more tape. It popped up, and when it was coming around doing that smoothing pass, that reverse last pass, it pushed the material over, and then when it tried to turn, it tried to cut that red oak, 3/4 inch red oak, single pass, full thickness, at like, I think I had it running 160 inches per minute. Yeah, that wasn't happening. Not with an 1/8 bit.
That's a little abusive, yeah.
Yep. But it was cutting really good right up to the point that it broke.
Yeah. That's the thing with CNCs. You gotta get your holding mechanism down, and sometimes, you know, I know some people like Hamilton. He'll do the tape and add screws. You know.
Well, I used to screw it to the bed, but I got the new machine, and I was like, you know, I don't want to be putting screws in my bed.
Well,
Yeah.
This was that spoil board.
This was a picture of defeat. I sent that to Cody, and I'm like, I did it again.
Well,
but I've been wanting to get me one of those 1/4 inch extended reach bits to do like some bowls and stuff with. So I was just like, okay, I'll just order it and the replacement for my 1/8 inch. So I just went on there and ordered them.
Do you want to see one? I mean, I could pull it out.
I don't want to hear it. The only after this order is fulfilled, whenever Cody finishes this order, the only bit that he makes currently that I will not have, other than them big ones that I can't use, is the 30 degree, because it was still on back order a while ago. I still don't have a 30 degree groovy, but I'll have every other bit he makes.
Yep.
Except for those big, gigantic
like
ones.
Sounds like you should have gone ahead and just bought 2.
I started to, but I'm hoping I don't have this happen again. I've been running the crap out of that bit. It hadn't, you know. Well, I say that I've broke 2 of those so far. The first time it broke because somebody forgot to turn the spindle on. Like the power supply for the spindle didn't get turned on in the pre-flight. Yeah, my pre-flight check. Somebody forgot to check the landing gear.
You need one of those removed before flight tags, huh?
No, I need a label that says "Turn on the freaking spindle controller."
Well, yeah, no, I do try to keep on hand, especially in the 1/4 inch and the 1/8 inch bits. You know, both the regular and the compression. I try to have more than one on hand because inevitably I will break one in the middle of something important with a deadline, and yeah. So
Well, that's the thing. If I'd have thought about it, I have extra the regular, just standard 1/8" bits, but I only had the one quarter shank down to eighth.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
if I'd have used my head, I could have used a regular, just straight 1/8", but I would have had to change out the collet, and I was being lazy and didn't. So it cost me.
Do you not have spare? Do you not have like a nut for every collet you've got?
Not yet. I'm working on that.
I see. Then you wouldn't be so lazy. It's
I'm working on that. I just added that to my things I need to do list. But I spent my little bit of money I'm spending on bits this week. So
well, it's an ER11, right?
yeah, ER11A.
So I mean, they're a dime a dozen on a lot of.
I
places.
know. I had some in my Amazon cart the other day and took them out because I was trying to save money.
Do I need to order some for you? Just
No. It's just been a rough couple of weeks. I've had a lot of expenses. I'm trying to cut down expenses because the way that you increase profits is to either increase production or cut expenses. And I'm as productive as I get, so I'm having to cut expenses. But whatever.
all right.
What's up, Greg over at STL Woodworking? How are you, sir? All right. Well, you're very welcome there, Rob. I just kept getting a lot of questions, so I decided to make that video. It was kind of spur of the moment, and I didn't figure it would do real good, but I was amazed. It actually did okay. Yeah, thank you. Glad the jigs are helpful there. I like them. Steve doesn't. He talks bad about my jigs all the time.
Hey, I was using one just the other day.
I'm gonna make a file for a cricket trap, and I'm gonna send it to your house. I'm gonna email it to you.
Yesterday, you were playing around in the shop. I was slaving outside. I had this thing going, and see.
Well, hey, look at you. Making some dog tags, were you?
Yeah. Yep.
Cool.
Although it's funny because the pet tags showed up while I was out there, and that's what I had a couple people wanting was they had some. They were more of a printed style that they had got at a random store and paid too much
Like
for.
like a stamped one or something.
Yeah, but it all wore off. So they're like, "Hey, can you recreate this?" I say, "Yeah, but I had to do it in the normal dog tag style instead of like the nice little bone or cat or whatever, So
Yeah.
Yep.
But now you have your bone ones too.
Yeah, I got a handful of those that came in today.
Cool.
So,
Hey, those things, I'm telling you, those things sell like hotcakes.
yeah, no, they do. They do. I'm actually thinking about we've got a couple of local. We've got the local Humane Society as well as another animal rescue, and they do events around town. And I think there's like a couple of fall 5K runs or whatever. Bring your dog and do a 5K with them as a fundraiser. And I'm trying to reach out to one of them and just say, hey, I'd like to maybe come and just support you guys and, basically offer some tags that, provide a donation to the organization and I'll get you a free tag or something like that. So maybe try to see if I can work that out for them. Because, we're, I don't know, I mean, members or supporters of the one, we've gotten a couple of our pets from them and such. And so it's an organization I like to support. And for as cheap as those blanks are,
Oh yeah, they're not expensive at all.
yeah, I mean, and as quick as that is, you could probably, I mean, if you just told them like, hey, just whatever you feel like donating or do like a minimum donation, all proceeds go into that place, that'd be worth it. So
Roger.
yeah.
Well, I will take this opportunity talking about events. I've got one coming up in October. I will be, actually one of the gold sponsor, I think is what they're calling it. Anyway, for the Humane Society event that we're having here in Clanton, which is going to be at Ollie Park. And I have events created on my Facebook page for both of these. So if you're interested and you're going to be in the area or thinking about being in the area, go check it out. But there's a link to the other one that I'm going to be a member of. And this one's more of the farming channel people, but because I'm friends with them and a bunch of them live around here and all that, I actually go to this event with them. It's a YouTube meet and greet. Most of them are going to be like Cog Hill Farms. A lot of which Cog Hill's, a couple of 100,000 subscribers, but they're right down the road, friends of ours. So they're going to be there. Me and Brandy will be there. And a whole slew of other YouTube channels from all over Alabama and some from surrounding states in the Southeast. But there's a list on that website, on that link I just put down there. If you go down to the bottom, there's a link where you can click. And down at the bottom, it shows you who all is going to be there. Like I said, 3 or 4 of them are folks that literally live like right here nearby me. Some of the other ones are from further off, but it's going to be a fun event all day long. It's actually the Petals from the Past place that it's being held is actually like a nursery, so you can get flowers and mums and stuff because we went mum shopping today, me and the wife. So yeah, it's going to be a fun time. And then, like I said, October, I think it's actually Halloween is when the other one is. It's on my Facebook page. Don't quote me on that. I'm sponsoring the one for the Humane Society, and I will actually be set up at that one. I'm going to be selling some stuff, but I'm really not worried about whether I sell anything or not. I did it to sponsor them and to help promote their event. They're going to borrow I've got a PA system that's Bluetooth and has mics and all that. It's got the big stand-up speakers with the legs and all. They're going to use that, and I'm just going to hang out and maybe laser engrave some dog tags or something while I'm there. Hopefully it'll be nice and cool, unlike Peach Jam. So
Well, and I will throw this out there. I'm not 100% sure if I'm going, but there is the Minnesota Woodworkers Expo. They've moved it to the Minnesota State Fairgrounds this time. It's October 12th, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. I don't know that I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be actually setting up a booth and demonstrating all day, but I'm thinking about going and hanging out for a while, or maybe even just hanging out. They have a tool swap outside that, if it's looking like a nice day, maybe I'll bring a shade tent and just hang out with a few things. I mean, I got a couple tools I could sell, but I'll probably put just like a thread on my page or something, just saying, hey, who's interested in this? And if there's enough people that want to meet up there, maybe I'd make sure I can go. I just don't know that I'm pretty sure I don't have the time to actually set up, and because I'd have to go up there the night before, set up, and then I got to be there all day. And I felt like I didn't get a chance to see the event, and I was on my feet talking all day, which was great, but yeah, so I might do that, and we can do like a meetup up in the Twin Cities area or at the expo or something.
Cool.
If people are interested. So I'll probably drop that on my Facebook page, and people can reply, say, hey, yeah, I'd come. That'll help sway me one way or the other.
Yeah. Miss Sharon, I haven't changed the lens on my MK2. I've cleaned it a couple times, but it'll be the outermost lens. If you take that end, the business end of the module apart, it's going to be the very first lens you come to. Don't go no deeper than that. There should not be any need to go any deeper unless you've actually cracked the lens. But if you look at it, you should be able to see like a circle in the middle of it or a little chip or something like that. If it's damaged. If not, it may just need a good thorough cleaning. But the problem that you were showing me earlier in those messages and stuff you sent, it's either going to be lack of air assist or a whole problem with that lens. So, and somebody's asking Steve about the A24 lenses, and I think that's what you're over there digging for, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I've been testing. Here we go. I've been testing some. They are just a hair smaller, but they fit. So I've been running it in the A24. It's As a matter of fact, I had that at the field, but here's one of them. They are a little bit smaller than the others. I was trying to see if I had a regular size one. Um, I'm going to send some to Clack to test out and fit in a few machines as well. And if he has luck with them as well, I'll reach out to some people that just to try to get a good feel for it. But it's yeah, it's getting harder to source the material and then or even try to find someone to make them. Um, even for the regular size lenses, I'm starting to struggle with that a little bit, uh, which is unfortunate because I that's one of the things I like about them is they are, um, like you say, they're a value lens, they're inexpensive, um, and trying to keep that it's a consumable that I don't I hate to see people paying the
$30.
$15 to $30 for a single one when they can just drop that piece of glass in there. So I am working on it. I've had good luck with the one I've been running. I ran a number of cuts and engraves, high power, smoky jobs. It seems to be holding up in the A24. I haven't quite gotten the guts. Just I think it's the same size in the X40 and the A70. So
Yeah, Lance said he'd be happy to test them in the A24. So maybe you could go in the laser engraving community page and ask for some beta testers.
I'll probably do that. Like I said, I'm gonna send some. I'm gonna send some down to Clack. Have him try it as best he can, and then
In the 40 watt and the 70, because those will fit the. You said you think they'll fit the A40 as well, right?
I have to double check them, but I'm pretty sure they're the same size in there.
Yeah.
And so yeah, we'll throw some more power through them and make sure that they're not going to have some sort of weird defect that they all just start shattering or something.
Yeah. Well, I can put, like I said, I can throw them in the A40 over here and the A70 Pro and run them. And I know you've got both machines as well, but now I run mine a lot. So
Yeah.
if I can get a lens to last me a couple of weeks, that'll be pretty decent. Especially like you said at the price, because you got to figure a $30 lens. I mean, if it doesn't last any longer than a dollar lens, is it really worth the $30? I mean,
Right.
so I rebuild mine. I keep the little brass caps and just rebuild them. When I crack one, I have some rebuilt ones that are already rebuilt. I just take one of those, put it in there. I put my bad ones back in the box. And then I sit down one day and I just sit in here with some acetone, and I usually clean the little brass ring with one of the fiber lasers, and I'll actually engrave like rebuilt on the lens, because I actually have some brand new ones in the shop as well. But I'll actually engrave that little copper ring with like rebuilt or whatever, so that I know that that's a rebuilt lens when I'm doing testing or whatever. Could start putting put Steve's name on them.
Stick my logo on there like everything else in your shop.
Yeah. Lance was asking, when is that event? He put a link to it, but
It's October 4th or October 12th. So it's a Saturday in mid-October. Like I say, Minnesota State Fairgrounds, which unfortunately for me is on the opposite side of the Twin Cities as myself. So I have to drive farther. Last time it was on the southern side, which was a super quick hop and a jump for me. But
yeah.
now I got to deal with traffic.
Do you remember which one the We Create used? Is it I think it's the same one as the other machines, right?
Yeah, the 20 watt that I have, when I took it apart, it is the same size as your typical, like the other ones we've been using in the X Tools and the Atom Stacks.
Yeah.
The original Atom Stacks, I should say.
Yeah.
They had to go and switch them up on me with this latest one.
Yeah. Yeah, they like to change things from time to time.
Mm-hmm. But sounds like Samuel is playing around with engraving a laptop, and yeah, depending on the laptop. Now, not all of them are made the same. Some of them are, an aluminum cover, but some of them are more of a plastic. So you want to be careful with some of those. But there's a lot of people, especially with the MacBooks and such, they love to get custom engravings on them. So if you can get a couple old ones, dial in your settings, be able to get a nice contrast without doing any, deep or excessive heat on them, yeah, you can find
Yeah.
yourself a nice little niche service in your area. So
Yeah, I've done a few iPhones. Like we'll have some old busted phones or whatever that are dead.
hmm
And, varying results with the new ones because the new ones are like clear glass almost with something on the inside. So it's a
yeah,
little different dynamic.
yep.
All right, it's an hour and 50 minutes, guys. So we're probably not going to be around here, but like another 10 or 15 minutes or so. So if you haven't already, we have links to the laser engraving community page as well as our map that we use to kind of keep up with where you guys are for such things as Steve going to this event that he's going to. He can actually look on there, see who's in the area, how many people are in the area. So it's kind of cool for that kind of stuff for event planning. So if you want to add yourself to the map, check the link that's in the description and just go fill out that little quick form. Put in an address of either where you are, a landmark nearby. It can be the public library or the post office. We don't care. Just somewhere in your general vicinity so we'll know what part of the world you're in. So if we're doing some globe trotting or traveling around the United States, we'll know there's people nearby that we might want to go like hang out with. Come, stop by and visit your shop or whatever. You never know. Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, and it don't hurt if you hit the thumbs up button as well. I mean, that's always a good thing. It helps. It helps drive a little bit of traffic. We could always use a little more traffic. Hey, Vince, you can put that on there. I mean, some folks might say that that's like their second home around here where I'm at. So, I mean, you could put that address down. We don't really care. If you have concerns about people showing up at your house, you can use that address. I mean, hey, whatever.
Yeah, I don't really check them unless it comes up with an error, and then I go and try to figure it out. Sometimes there's just a weird comma or something, but most of them have been popping in just fine. I mean, for that matter, you can even just drop your state in there, and I think it just kind of goes to the geographic center. So,
Yeah.
which if you're in a small state, that's going to be a lot closer, and if you're in say Alaska.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Greg's over there in Georgia. He is. Which are you going to make it down to WBC this year? Or did you buy your ticket already?
Yeah, it's planned.
Okay. Yeah, I bought one of my tickets. I think Brady's coming with me this time, so I guess I'm going to have to buy a ticket for her too. I don't know.
It's gotta keep an eye on you, make sure you behave.
No, when I told her that they had like shopping and stuff, and she was like, "Okay, yeah, cool." She said, "If I don't like the event, I'll just go find me something to do." So,
Well, it might be cheaper for you to just let her go shopping then.
yeah, yeah. For the tickets are expensive.
Yeah, they're not cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, I actually I was giving my people at work a little heads up about that. My interim boss, because we're still without my full-time replacement for me, they're actually taking a trip to I think Mexico that same time period. And I'm like, well, I'll be out as well, so I guess all the mice will play.
Yeah. Well, appreciate it there, Lance. Like I said, we don't ask, but we are thankful. Like I said, it's a wild world out there. We just like doing our part and helping everybody make fun or have fun, I guess you could say. Jenny said when the two of us retire, they can hire you to come spend the day cutting and engraving with us. Hey, I've had people offer, and I'm just like, well, I got this thing called a job,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it kind of gets in the way. But I have a little less than 13 months. It was 380 something days because I searched it a while ago for your benefit. So that 380 something days, I will be officially retired. And I got a whole bunch of sick time and vacation and stuff between now and then that I don't know what I'm going to do with, but we'll see. The cool thing is I can actually cash out a lot of it, so I don't want to burn it all up, because that'd be a pretty decent little check. Sam's asking about the dates for that again.
Workbench Con, it's like the very last, I think it's like February 27th through the 1st of March or something weird like that. It's very end of February.
Yeah, I don't know if he's talking about that or that event. I'm not sure.
I was just guessing Workbench Con because we were talking about that.
Yeah. What's next? Woodworking said he just bought his tickets to WBC 10 minutes ago.
I'm going to need to figure out my travel plans for that, though.
Hey, if you can get to Bama, you can carpool with me, bro.
Well, that's an option. I mean, I can fly in down there, and
fly into Montgomery. I can pick you up there.
Or yeah, I mean, I could drive, but you never know what winter's going to be like up here. So I looked at the price of tickets, and I was like, that gas is sounding looking pretty cheap right about now.
Yeah. Well, and like I said, I as far as I know, it's not going to be a major ordeal for me. I'm not going to be flying because it's only like a 3-hour drive. But as far as I know, I'll have 2 seats empty, because if Brandy goes with me, that's going to give me 2. Well, technically, I'll have 4 seats empty because I can haul 6, but it's cozy up front in the front of the F-150 with 3 people.
Yeah, you're not throwing me in the bed because I know it's not long enough.
As long as you sit up, you'd be okay. But as long as you sit up, you'd be all right. But yeah, it was fun last year. Like I said, I didn't know a whole lot of people. I actually hung out mostly with Nick and Rodriguez. Is it Rodriguez?
Live Pixel Creation.
Yeah, Live Pixel Create. I can't remember his first name. But I hung out with them most of the time that I was over there. Nick from Build Dad Build was there. So we'd sit and hang out after hours or whatever. But during the day, you kind of stay moving, going from the little presentations one to the other, to where it's not a whole lot of time to do a lot there. And then they have a couple of like suppers and events and stuff, and it was pretty cool. Definitely something I had never done before. So yeah, Greg said it's only an hour for him. That's that's terrible.
Well,
but good news is I'm further from Atlanta than he is.
It's for me. It's like 16 hours and change down to your place. It's almost 1,100 miles. Trying to remember how far it is to Atlanta from here.
Yeah, Bill claims he's gonna go with me, but we'll see. We'll see. He squirrels. So sometimes he wants to do something and he don't, but we'll see. But if he does go with me, see, that's what I was going to tell you. Maybe you could con Bill into like y'all splitting the room to save a little money. Because if Brandy's going with me, I just don't know that the whole splitting the room thing, which I don't guess it would matter, but it might get a little crowded. So
I get top bunk.
She'd make me and you sleep in the same bed because she's always complaining about I don't give her enough room. She'd throw 2 of us in the bed together.
Actually, it's about 12 miles less for me to drive straight to Atlanta than to your place.
Really?
Yep.
Well, okay.
Ugh. But then I got to go through that crazy place called Chattanooga.
Yeah. I guess you would, wouldn't you? But yeah, it'll be, hopefully it'll be pretty fun. Like I said, last year, it was my very first time going over there, and I didn't know what to expect. So I got a little bit more of what to expect this year. Last year I got to meet Cody over there and Greg and a few other folks. Like I said, I got to meet Nick over at Build Dad Build and quite a few. So it was interesting.
Cool. Well, it sounds like there'll be a few of us there, and we'll we'll see if we can get the word out. I know last time you tried to do a meetup, but it didn't pan out. I think for a dinner.
Yeah. A couple of the guys, one of them actually had some medical problems, and one had some stuff going on with his daughter that she needed his help that night, and so it just didn't pan out. But maybe next time. Like I said, if there's enough of us at the event, we'll already have a hangout. So
Yeah. Yeah.
we'll already have a table of 6.
We'll have to eat. We'll have to eat somewhere. So yeah, it'll depend on my travel plans. Where and how I fly or drive into and such. But we'll definitely try to make it happen if it works out.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, it's rolling right at 2 hours now. So.
Yes, sir. It sounds like your cricket needs something to eat. It's time to go feed him.
Yeah, I haven't fed him in years. So.
If you'll get you a 5-gallon bucket and build a little ramp, get you an apple or two, and cut them up and put them in that bucket, and when you come out there tomorrow, he'll be in that 5-gallon bucket.
And
then you could just
his buddies will probably just come in to replace him.
And then you can take him. Then you can take him outside and release him into the wild, like down the street somewhere.
But what do I do with all the cutoffs?
Well, you're gonna need to get those out of there. He'll use that as a ladder. Now, if you really want to keep him in there, you could just put just a little bit of vegetable oil in the bottom of it.
Well, yeah, that or dish soap.
STL said he's planning on you coming to a meetup when he gets his new shop finished. Oh, wrong one. Hey, STL, if you come down here and build me a new shop, we can have a meetup down here too. Hey, that's a win-win for me. Get a new shop. It's going to be a little while.
Yeah, well, if I'm in the area, but that's quite a drive just for a meetup.
Yeah. All right.
A little more incentive, but anyway. Yeah, well, it's another good evening. It's fun seeing everyone here. We seem to have our knock on wood. We seem to have our bugs worked out at least now on the software.
Don't jinx us.
I'll try not to.
Don't jinx us.
But yeah, thanks everyone for stopping by. More to come. I think things are calming down for me at work, and so hopefully I'll get caught back up. I've got a list of projects. As a matter of fact, I was milling up some walnut wood for some things here this weekend. So it'll be some other. There might be a little more traditional woodworking in some of the future videos. I'll just give you a heads up on that.
Cool. Greg, where exactly? I know you're in North Georgia, north of Atlanta, so obviously you're probably about 3 hours away. But yeah, put it out there. Who knows? If it's a weekend trip, I might could make it. Never know. But I'm going to be bringing some stickers. I'm going to do like Steve did. I'm going to stick stickers everywhere. Just be warned. But y'all have a good one, and be safe. And we'll see y'all again next Sunday. Like I said, hopefully the software will keep working. But if it doesn't, just remember, Sundays at 7 p.m. Central. Steve and Clack.
We'll be here.
Yeah. But thank y'all for coming and hanging out with us.